Hello and welcome to Model Dads. Thanks to Kevin, we'll close this terrain and scenery week with a look at KJS Creations pre-painted styrofoam or polyfoam African buildings. KJS Creations is run on a part-time basis and retails out of eBay, with Kevin hand-making scenery for a range of theatres including Africa, the Wild West and the First World War, as well as Warhammer 40,000. KJS Creations' Africa range consists of 11 Adobe-style buildings suitable for World War II or earlier through to the present day. To give you a flavour of what Kevin has available, we'll look at 3 of the buildings he's got on offer. Africa 2 is a large 2-storey compound dwelling mounted on a 2mm foam base, measuring 23cm in length, 12cm wide and 6.2cm in height, including the base, and costs £16. Africa 9 is a small single-storey Adobe-style building and courtyard mounted on a 2mm foam base, measuring 10cm by 10cm and 4.2cm high, and costs £5. Africa 11 is a medium-sized 2-storey Adobe building with attached workshops or retail outlets, 18.5cm in length, 11.5cm in width and 6.9cm tall, and costs £16. Taking a close look at the compound first, you can see that it consists of a cluster of single-storey buildings around a central courtyard with a detachable second storey on the roof. The styrofoam has been covered with a filler mix, whilst the exposed bricks have been hand-cut into the walls. Doors are made from plastic with lines scored into them to make them look wooden. With the exception of the upper room, roof sections are not detachable and it is not possible to place figures inside the buildings themselves. The building is set on a scenic base that consists of coarse modelling sand, and there's a nice set of stairs modelled around the rear. Detailing is basic but adequate, and it would have been nice to have seen a little embellishment, perhaps a trapdoor in the roof, joists or a timber frame around some of the tops of windows or doors to give a bit of variety. The single-storey building is similarly constructed, with a smaller courtyard mounted on a scenic base. Painting on all models is adequate, with a 2-tone yellow-brown complemented by a dark reddish-brown wash over the brickwork. On some occasions, coverage is a little thin, and it's possible to see the colour of the styrofoam beneath some of the exposed outer edges. Again, the 2-storey workshop building is similarly constructed, but comes with a non-detachable corrugate roof section. As the building is not mounted on a base, it is possible to put figures inside. There is some good detailing here with the wireframe windows, shutters and imposing entrance. The visible interior area has been painted black. As far as I'm aware, there aren't many commercially available styrofoam built buildings out there, and these are the first I've seen, let alone been able to review. The buildings are wonderfully light, and whilst they may appeal to gamers in transit, the predictable downside is that they are very fragile and liable to suffer significant damage if not handled with care. On the plus side, large compounds are relatively thin on the ground in 15mm, and I've not seen anything quite like the striking workshop. In contrast to resin buildings, each of KJS Creations are individually handmade, with no two being identical. This is reflected in the price, which is a little higher than other more commercially produced pre-painted resin desert scenery. To be fair to KJS Creations, their buildings cover a larger surface area than most of the competition, but this has to be balanced against the fact that figures cannot be placed within some of the buildings, an advantage that many of us have become accustomed to. That said, the larger buildings are well designed and pose a number of tactical considerations during the game. Once placed on a table, these buildings look good, and if you're a modeller, you can spend the time you'd have otherwise spent on painting, enhancing and weathering the vanilla paint job. I don't own a lot of desert buildings, but you can see that the relative dimensions of KJS Creations doors and windows do not sit comfortably with the resin desert buildings produced by Kerr & King on the left or Peter Pig on the right. Ironically, they are more in keeping with the heroic proportions favoured by many 15mm figure manufacturers, including Curaçao Miniatures, Flytrap Factory and Peter Pig. Overall, KJS Creations' 15mm desert buildings extends the range of choice to gamers by providing a range of unique, lightweight, pre-painted buildings. Being handmade, you'll pay a little more and will need to take special care of your delicate property if you want to get the most out of your investment. Thanks for watching.